What the fuck? That might be the hardest rep I've ever done in my life. Going back and watching the video just now, the rep felt like complete and utter ass. It was incredibly difficult. One of the hardest squat reps that I've ever done in my life, hands down. I've grinded out tough reps before on the squat, but really tough reps before, really slow, maybe slower than that, but that one felt harder by far because coming out of the bottom, instead of having top down and having any negative, any stretch reflex to count on to get you out of that bottom part of the movement, that made that feel like one of the hardest reps I've ever done in my life. Looking at the video, we see an immediate loss of position, right? My hips popped up immediately. With that, my back started to cave. My upper back starts to round, fold over like an accordion. I lose even more positioning. That position, that secondary position loss is a consequence of the initial position loss where the hips pop up. That's a failure to properly engage the legs. I'm not making use of my own strength. This is the first time I've ever done it with straight bar, right? So I watched the video, I learned a few things from seeing the video immediately. I learned a few things from seeing the video and from remembering how all that just felt, right? So now I can implement these things next time. So for starters, the bar position. I didn't use my legs, I didn't engage my legs maximally or optimally, right? I think if I lower the bar positioning slightly, make it a little bit more low bar, a little bit more quote unquote hip dominant, right? I think by doing that, I will actually be able to hold position better off the very bottom of the pins, and as a consequence, actually get better leg engagement in the lift, you know, in the real world, actually executing it instead of just talking about the theory of low bar versus high bar. I think by making that technique change, I'll actually be able to get better leg engagement, even though it's supposed to be a more hip dominant movement with a lower bar positioning. As well, we learned some things about how I should be bearing down on the bar with the upper body, right? To keep that upper back tight. I need to really focus on that so that I hopefully don't fold over. Foot placement as well. I was tempted to go out a little wider than I usually do, but there was no leverage. I actually think a slightly narrower stance, not narrower than usual, but narrower than what I wanted to do here, than what I naturally thought would be better, and then actually keeping my toes pointed a little bit more forward than what I usually do. Feels like it's gonna give me the best drive, the best pop out of the bottom. Now we compare this one, the straight bar. This is the first time I've done an Anderson squat on a straight bar. I've done it twice so far with the SSB, and actually I hit 360 on the SSB last time I did it. Much smoother than this, much easier. I think there were 10, maybe 20 pounds on the tank. I think I could have done 380. I have a tentative goal of 400 with the SSB. The difference, the straight bar versus the SSB, you can't run away from your legs with the safety squat bar. You are forced to get them engaged, whereas with the straight bar, you can run away from the legs, you can try to escape them, and that is what my brain was trying to do. So I think together, those two lifts will complement each other. The SSB will make a nice adjunct. In general, if I can figure out how to get better leg engagement with the straight bar, that should carry over to pretty much everything else. So all my other squatting endeavors, as well as my athletic endeavors, because you're just, you know, building more leg strength. But we also incorporate that bottom end positioning, that straight up dummy strength aspect is just awesome about this lift. And that's really why I'm doing it. I want to build that dummy strength. I've been talking about that concept lately. But I think in general, probably the absolute best usage of these bottom up Anderson movements is just going to be position retainment, right? So I was talking about how my hips pop up, my back folds over. The back folds over secondarily, the hips pop up. That's the real thing that we need to focus on when we see something like this, is that those hips popping up. That's my natural weakness in the squat anyway. Come out of the hole, bounce with the stretch reflex, and my hips run away from me, right? So that's something I've always struggled with. With this, it really, really amplifies that, and I'm going to have to rectify it in order to use my strength optimally on this exercise. There's no hiding it anymore, and that's going to really be where I think this is going to shine for somebody like me, and just in general, if improving your squat is one of your goals, I think position retainment is what something like this is going to be really, really great at.